Hey, what's going on? Good evening to all of you. My name is Jamel Tony.
Hey everyone, I'm Lakeisha, and welcome to Progressively Becoming.
Welcome to another week, another Tuesday, wherever you are at, wherever you may be listening. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Perhaps there's some of you that may be watching us or listening to us on our podcast. So glad you was able to join us.
Yes, thank you again for joining us for another conversation. As always, as you're getting on, make sure you like, comment, and share. And let somebody know PB is on now. We are in the building. And every Tuesday right here at 7 p.m. sharp.
We are sharp. Not only are we on time, but I am hot. Because someone decided that she wanted the heat on.
Cold today. It's cold.
And I'm hot because she wanted heat, and hot. My thing was just put a sweater on or a hoodie on. Which before we even get started, it brings us to this question: when is the appropriate time to turn on the heat in your residence?
Well, what the thing is, the temperature today is what? Where we at right now, it is 53 degrees where we are at, and it's raining and it's cold. And not to mention, we had something done in the house today that needed to have the doors open.
No, don't blame it on the people cleaning the carpets. No.
So it was freezing in here.
She wanted heat on last week.
So I had on
She wanted heat on last week.
So he said put a hoodie on.
Put a hoodie on. You told put on more clothes.
I had on a hoodie.
Put on more clothes.
I was wrapped up in a blanket.
Put
and
on
I was
more clothes.
still freezing.
So
and I had on my little fuzzy, y'all know ladies, our fuzzy little socks for the winter.
Put on clothes if you are cold. That's it. Put on more clothes, all right? Until the temperature is consistently below 43. Then I think it's a good time to put heat on. Nevertheless, I'm so glad you're joining us, whether you're on our podcast, Google, Spotify, Apple, or even iHeartRadio. Go ahead and subscribe to all of our podcast outlets. Those of you that are watching us on Facebook Live, what is happening? Those of you on YouTube, good evening to you as well. Those of you that are listening to us on our podcast at this moment, hola. To you as well. We are extremely excited about today's conversation. It's been something we've been wanting to get to.
Yes, before we get there though, as always, don't forget our morning devotions right here live on Facebook and on YouTube. He is so dramatic, y'all. Facebook and on YouTube every Thursday, 6 a.m. where we will be here praying with you and for you. So make sure that you join us. Bring someone, tag someone. Invite someone. Prayer is for all of us. Everyone needs it, and we will be there every Thursday, 6 a.m. Last Friday, we did release our monthly 15 at 6. So if you haven't downloaded our podcast, make sure you do that so that you can go and listen to last Friday's inspiration, motivation, and encouragement. The topic was on forgiveness. So y'all take a listen. A lot of us need to hear that that encouragement, including myself, at a time or two. So, make sure you go and take a listen. So remember, those are only available on our podcast.
That's correct. Sunday Exchange every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. TPOE. That's the ministry that God has called us to launch. Tag a friend, tag a family member. I want to see or feel your presence in our virtual worship services every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Facebook, YouTube, even on our website, progressively.becoming.com. You can go ahead and go today. You can watch the Sunday morning worship services as well.
Yes.
We are so committed to community outreach. I mean, it is such a desire that we have to just extend a helping hand to those that may need it, and to demonstrate the love of God. And with this said, we are continually will be launching different outreach efforts locally, that we can be a blessing to other people. Those of you that was on the Sunday Exchange, you may have heard about our clothing and coat giveaway. That's something that we will be having in December. But for now, we are having a drive, a clothing and coat drive, where if you have gently used, if you have okay, phone going up. If you have gently used coats and or clothes, hats or scarves, I want you to consider donating it to us so that we can give it out and distribute it to people. We are looking for children's coats and clothes, as well as men and women's coats and clothes as well. There are drop-off sites in Brooklyn and in New Jersey. The information is on your screen. You can text 855-997-3031. Text us and say, hey, I have something I want to donate, and we'll tell you where you can donate, where you can drop it off at, or if needed, we can pick it up. But yeah, I want us to be a blessing. I want us to be a blessing. If you don't say, hey, I don't have coats or clothes to donate, maybe you want to sow a financial seed, a financial blessing into this outreach event. You can go ahead, go to our website, progressivelybecoming.com. You'll see all the avenues in which you can donate as well.
Absolutely.
Why are you tapping me?
I want you to get your phone together.
My phone is together.
It's
she's rude.
The Google
she's rude.
talking
She's rude. And she needs to look.
And then it's like you chuckling, could you hear that? And it's in your pocket.
She's rude and she needs great deliverance.
It's like, get your phone together.
She's rude.
See, when I come on here and talk to the people, I have my phone lowered, so I don't have any interruption.
She's rude and she needs great deliverance.
What I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, last week. So over the last couple of weeks, we've been discussing the voices of pride.
Absolutely.
So we have addressed so far the voice of insecurity.
Yep, and neglect.
And last week we focused on the voice of neglect and its relationship to pride.
Yes.
So just as a reminder, I'm sorry.
Why are you laughing? Yeah, because your phone is going off, right? She talks about me, right? I'll pick up where there's clearly a deficit over here. So last week, we mentioned that neglect was to give little attention or respect towards. It is to disregard. It is the state or the fact of being uncared for.
Right.
We mentioned a neglected person will suffer psychological injury as their basic physical and or emotional needs are not met. If your emotional needs was ignored, dismissed, or minimized as a child, it will be difficult for you to identify the impacts it will have on your mental health as an adult. Right? It will be difficult. The beliefs about yourself that was formed when you were young. If you was emotionally or physically neglected, those beliefs that you formed when you was a child, those beliefs can seem like reality as you mature into adulthood. And those of you that have, suffered emotional neglect as children, or, often will grow into insecure and uncertain adults because you just did not receive the positive reinforcement that you needed when you were young, to learn yourselves and to learn about the instincts that all of us have.
Right. And also, just as a reminder, pride is a high or inordinate opinion of one's own dignity, importance, merit, or superiority. Yeah. So whether as cherished in the mind or is it displayed in your conduct. So pride is not just expressed verbally,
which is correct.
It's also in your actions as well as what you believe.
Correct.
And then just keep in mind, emotional neglect leads to insecurity, and that can grow the root of pride.
Absolutely.
Also, we gave like 10 steps of overcoming insecurity. Yeah. So if you missed those steps, or if you missed the conversation from last week, please go back and take a look so that you can, get caught up to where we're at now. Absolutely. But it was great conversation as always. But for tonight's conversation, we will be discussing the voice of arrogance and its connection to pride.
Throw that in the chat. Arrogance. Yes. We will be discussing the voice of arrogance. What is arrogance before we get to that point?
So arrogance is having or revealing an exaggerated sense of one's own importance or abilities. So an arrogant person is full of self-worth or self-importance, and who tells and show that they have a feeling of superiority over others. So I just want to make it clear. I'm not talking about, being confident in yourself and having self-worth or high esteem for yourself. Absolutely. It's when you think you are better or superior to others.
That's good.
And you turn your nose down on people and you make someone feel less than because you think that you are more than them.
Absolutely.
So that's what I mean when I say, the self-esteem and self-worth, because we want to have self-confidence in ourselves. Yeah. We want to, have self-esteem in ourselves. Yeah. So it's when you think you're better than someone else and you be turning your nose down at folk.
So I want us to begin this with a quiz. Pop quiz. We're gonna have a conversation, but I want us to begin with a quiz on arrogance. So I need you to grab your pens, grab your papers, because we're gonna have a quiz, and the quiz is based on the question: am I arrogant? Do I have qualities about me that are arrogant? Do I live in this arrogant self-awareness and being about myself, right? So grab a pen, grab a pencil, pop quiz. Let us do it now because I am excited. Here we go. First question that we have. First question. Looking back on my life, it is clear that, number one, I have a Midas touch. It seems like I can do no wrong. Number two, I've hit some bumps, but most of my failures were due to something beyond my control. Or number three, I've had success and failure, and I've learned from both. Go ahead and write down the question. Write down your answer to that question. Looking back over my life, which one is it? 1, 2, or 3? Here we go. Next one. How often do you interrupt others when they are talking? Really? Occasionally? All the time? Or I have not noticed? How often do you interrupt others when they are talking? Write down the question. The answer.
The answer.
Number 3.
How often do you feel like you are the best at what you're doing? I really feel that way. That's number 1. Number 2, I always feel like I'm the best. Number 3, I never feel that I'm good at anything. So how often do you feel like you are the best at what you're doing? Are you 1, 2, or 3? Next one. Y'all ready? All right. What do you do when you achieve something new in life? I celebrate with my family and friends. I let everyone know. And what's 3?
Or 3, I rub it in my enemy's face.
All right.
What do you do when you achieve something new in life? Celebrate it? Family and friends? Do you let the whole world know?
I did it.
Or do you rub it in your enemy's face? Here we go. Next one. Do you think life is a competition? What and why is that? Number 1, no, you don't think life is a competition because you're always competing with yourself. 2, yes, because everyone wants to push you away. 3, yes, because it is the survival of the fittest.
Next one. How would you react if someone beat you in a competition?
Number 1, I'll show them my respect. Number 2, I'll ignore them. Or number 3, I'll plan my revenge.
These are good questions, y'all.
Ooh.
Next one. What's the key to success in life?
Number 1, hard work. Number 2, luck. Number 3, talent. What's the best answer for you? Mm-hmm. Hard work, luck, or talent?
Next one. Looking
well.
Oh.
Yeah. So these are the questions again.
Okay.
All right. Looking back over my life, it is clear that.
How often do you interrupt others when they're talking? How often do you feel like you are the best at what you're doing? What do you do when you achieve something new in life? Do you think life is a competition, and why is that? And how would you react if someone beat you in a competition?
And tonight, I just don't want us to talk about it. I don't want us just to talk about arrogance. I don't want us just to have a conversation about what arrogance is, because, specifically speaking from someone that looks upon others, right? Who are potentially arrogant, right? Tonight, I want us to listen closely and pay attention to the inner voice and the actions that we may be exhibiting in our own lives that tell us we are arrogant.
Right.
You know, it's easy to have a conversation tonight about others, about other people's arrogance.
Right.
Like I think that's easy, right? But this is what we cannot do. We cannot, listen to me, we cannot have these conversations about others and never put ourselves on the chopping block.
That's good.
Why is it that we can identify the insecurities, the faults, the pride, the arrogance in everybody else,
right?
But fail to see it in ourselves?
It's true. It's true.
Because this is what I learned, right? And because oftentimes faults we see in others often reflect those faults we see in ourselves. And the question cannot be, can you see it? The question has to be, are you willing to admit the possibility of this being true in my life?
That's true. That's true.
Tonight's conversation is solely about us. Put it in the chat. Tonight, it's about me. Because Albert Einstein said this. He says the most dangerous thing other than ignorance is arrogance. Can you identify the voice of arrogance that's not coming from someone else?
Coming from you.
It's coming from you.
And I think we all probably had that happen or been a giver of that.
Absolutely.
In our lifetime.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is gonna be interesting. And arrogance, it can be understood as exaggerating one's importance or abilities. So when a person is proud, he or she has a certain talent or ability or possession. Mm-hmm. But in the case of arrogance, it looks a little bit different.
Correct.
So the object of pride is exaggerated and it's not original.
Correct.
So for example, a person can dance very well, and that person gains satisfaction from the awareness that they can dance very well. That is considered pride. But if the person thinks that they are the best at it and that there is no other person out there that is good as or even better than you, then that is based on exaggeration. And that person can be haughty and condescending towards others because the way they think they know it all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because oftentimes often people who are arrogant are not aware of their own behaviors. Right? Or they just don't want to recognize that they are arrogant. No one admits that they are arrogant.
Right.
You don't admit yours. No one admits that they are arrogant. But a person can be arrogant, but not show it externally to others due to his or her thoughts, actions, and/or emotions, right? For example, an arrogant person won't brag about their achievement, skills, and abilities, right? Or should I say, not all arrogant people brag about their achievements, their talents, their skills, and their abilities, right? They just may use condescending language, talk over people, or display body language that shows a lack of interest in others. It has so much more to do with not just what you say, but what you do. You may not verbally say, "Oh, I'm better than you," or I can do this. I can do this better than you can. But you overtalk people. Your body expressions express something differently. Your tone towards others is condescending. You don't listen to nobody else's ideas. You know it best. So I don't care what you say out of your mouth. Your actions depict that you are arrogant.
Right. Well, you may try to do an activity that I'm doing.
Correct.
Because you think you can do it better than me.
Say that again. Say that again.
So you'll do an activity that I'm doing, or you're doing something that I'm doing because you want to show that you can do it better than me.
When you know in your heart you know that you are not gifted in that particular area. But because of your arrogance, because oftentimes, here it is, it's not so much of an argument or a competition between you and I, right? The argument in a competition is with my own arrogance. It's not that I think, that I'm better than you, or it's not that I want to show you up. It's me saying I can't be the one last, or I can't be the one that's less than, or I can't be the one that's being ignored.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the person. Right. It has everything to do with the insecurity that exists in yourself.
Right.
And that argument, that fight, that tension plays out in other people, plays out towards others.
That's true.
The insecurities that I have in myself, the pride that I exhibit in my own life, the arrogance that I have in my own life, the fight within me plays out in the lives of other people and my demonstration towards others.
It absolutely comes out. It comes out. Because arrogance, in a nutshell, is rooted in insecurity.
It is rooted in insecurity. A defense, you get defensive from feelings of weakness that are unacceptable and unclaimed.
Right.
An arrogant person generally has a skewed view of the world and a warped understanding of themselves.
And a person that is like a strongly arrogant person usually tries to downplay like other people's achievements and their ideas,
Absolutely.
just in order to make yourself appear better.
Correct.
And arrogant people often ignore and downplay good ideas because they can't accept others might have better ideas than them. It's true. So, for instance, they'll propose a question or idea and be like, well, what do you think?
Oh, we've heard that before.
When they really don't care what you think. And they don't care. And they will accept your idea, but they're going to tweak it to fit it to what they wanted originally. So it's like, I already got the idea planned in my mind. I'm going to have a conversation with you. And I'm going to ask you what you think. But in the back of my mind, I don't really care what you think. But I want you to think I think you care, that I care.
Correct.
So once you tell me what you want,
Correct.
I'm going to say, oh, that's a great idea.
Correct.
And then I'm going to use it and tweak it to fit my whole agenda that I already had from the beginning.
Correct.
And the conversation was just pointless.
Correct. And is that not an issue of arrogance that perhaps you may display in your own life? Mm-hmm. When you ask others, what do you think? Here it is. Do you really want to know what they think? And are you willing to downplay or submit to someone else's ideas that may be different than yours? Do you really care what they think?
And it might not be, everyone that's operating like that.
Or are you using it as a term to perhaps mask or cover up an arrogance that you have? Because you know you arrogant.
You think everyone knows that they're arrogant?
I think
sometimes maybe you
difficult.
don't realize that
you're
you're in that vein
of
being arrogant. That's why it's we'll address it. Oh yeah, they're arrogant, but maybe the person doesn't realize because you've just been operating like that so long.
Correct.
It's just normal for you.
Correct.
That's just the way of your being. So you don't really know that that's how you are.
No.
Because that's who you are.
And there are so many phrases that are used to address that issue. Where you may not know you're arrogant or that you are exhibiting arrogant qualities, but there are things you say out of your mouth that can potentially suggest that you are arrogant. And I'm gonna say this, and y'all may disagree with me. All of us have the tendency to be arrogant.
Sure enough. Oh yeah, I agree with that.
and I'll go further. All of us, in some areas of our life at this moment, have arrogant qualities about it. It may not be in your speech, but it's in your thought. It may not be in your thought, but it's in your actions. It may not be in your actions, but it is in your body language. It may not be in your body language, but it is in the decisions that you make. It's in your relationships, your interactions with other people. All of us, in some area of our lives, believe, whether consciously or subconsciously, believe that we are better than.
I think so.
And that may hurt.
I think so.
That just hurt me. True. Think about it. All of us, subconsciously or consciously, have this demeanor about ourselves that suggests that I'm better than. Whether it's because of your education, whether it's because of your money, whether it's because of your fame, whether it's because of your popularity, whether it's because you're the one that people always come to for advice and for help, all of that has made you believe that I'm better than.
Ouch.
So you'll say things like this. Here it is. Certain things that arrogant people say. You'll say things like, I really can't do this now.
Oh my God.
Like I really can't do this now. And yes, we all get busy, and we find ourselves spending multiple places throughout the day. And the truth is, there are some tasks that we just don't have the bandwidth for, right?
Yes.
Like we just don't have the time for, right? Right. But saying that you can't do a particular job or I'll get to it when I got time to, it's rude and dismissive. Because you make people feel invalidated and even embarrassed that they asked you. And instead of saying, oh, I really can't do this here right now, or I get to it when I have time, instead of saying it, perhaps there's a better way of saying it. Perhaps you should explain to them why you cannot be present at that moment, right? And instead, say something like this. You know something? I'm really distracted at the moment, and I just can't fully give you the attention that you need. So I apologize that I missed what you were saying.
Yeah. And then other times, other things that we say is, I know you're wrong because I'm right.
Oh, and I said this to her yesterday.
Well, look, if we gonna be honest,
I know you're wrong because I'm right.
Because some of these things I'm looking at, I'm like, some of this stuff, I'm like, they got Jamel down here.
Because listen,
Jamel always thinks he's right.
Because here it is. Sometimes there is a right and wrong. Like let's just be real. Sometimes there's a right and there's a wrong. But other times there are gray areas that can perhaps propose different points of views, right? And even if you are right, stating it loudly, stating it like in this brash way can make you sound pompous and full of yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? You have to be open. Jamel, you have to be open to the idea. I'm learning. I really am. You have to be open to the ideas, and when you are right, just be humbled about it. Right? Insisting another person is wrong, honestly, folks, it puts them down. Right? It can make them feel small or even stupid. And that is not the impact that we really want to have.
Right.
Yeah, so if I did that to you, I do apologize.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I mean that.
I don't know why I feel like you don't. But I thank you for that.
Again, I'm operating.
I know that
I'm
wasn't
operating in emotional openness.
All right, now take it back.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but she doesn't want to operate in emotional understanding.
I am operating in understanding.
I don't feel that from you.
I'm sorry.
I don't feel that from you.
Honestly, I thank you. That probably took a lot.
It didn't take a lot.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you.
See, but that probably was an arrogant statement right there, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Look, we just gotta find a better way when I think when you know you're right, even if you are right and the person's wrong, I think it's just the way that you say it. Oh no, you're wrong. Like what? You know, it's just the way we have to say it. Anyway, moving right along.
Move on.
Another one is this is
relationship series in 3 weeks. Relationship series. we gonna talk about that. Go ahead.
This is easy. I don't get why you're struggling.
Say that again, please.
This is easy. I don't get why you're struggling.
Yeah, and we've heard that said. Yeah.
Or even if you ain't heard it said, it's been portrayed out.
Yeah.
Like if you're struggling with something like
maybe not those exact words, right?
The look, or even a look, like you could just see somebody saying, "Well, what the problem is? Like, what's the hard about it?"
That's what they say. What's the problem?
Like,
what's the hard about it?
So it's like, so not everyone works or learn the same way.
Yes.
So we have to realize that not everyone learns and works the same way. And I'm gonna be the first one because we look. I don't learn. We don't learn like each other.
We do not.
I'm telling you, sometimes like we'll have something as far as math goes, and the way like Jamel gets to the answer, it's like 5,000 steps Me, I'm already there. And them just like, what? But it's like we get to the same answer, but the way we do it is just
because
crazy.
not everyone works or learns the same way, and it's
Right.
fine
Right.
if you're better at a task than someone else.
Right.
But pointing out that fact, it diminishes the other person, and it serves only to embarrass them.
Right.
And I'm gonna be honest, I have been embarrassed by your comments towards me. I'm gonna just say that. Just say it off the bat. Because you have to be mindful that there could be a fine line between confidence, and arrogance.
Okay.
Right, and instead of saying, you know, this is easy, I don't see why I don't see why you're struggling. Instead of saying that, right? Instead of saying that, perhaps you need to say this. You need to say, you know something, Jamel. This has always, come naturally to me, and I can help you with that if you want. Or you can say, you know something, Jamel. I've really worked hard to excel at what I do. Right? And if you don't mind, I have a little time that I can show you what I've learned.
All right. So how about you say, I say when we're preparing for something.
Okay.
And you need me to decide or answer quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I need some time to process sometime. I need a little moment.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you say or understand, I know that your mind don't work like mine.
Okay.
And you may need a little bit more time.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you some time.
Okay.
Especially when we go to order at the drive-thru. Give me a couple minutes so I can decide what I want. No, I got to roll up, y'all. I got to roll up and know exactly what I want because he knows what he wants. But I don't get a minute. But anyway, we're veering off topic.
We are veering off topic because it's not like we've been to this restaurant 100 times previously.
Anyway, we are a work in progress, y'all.
We really
are. So, yeah. Oh yeah, I knew that.
That's another thing people say. Arrogant people say this, and perhaps you said it. Oh yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, like if you tell somebody something, oh yeah, I know that already.
Yeah. But did you really? Did? And we've all been there, right? Whether we at work or whether we were friends, and someone drops the fact that you don't know, instead of coping to the simple fact that you aren't familiar with what they are talking about. And
right.
I promise you, we all been there. I promise you, we all been in an environment where somebody is talking about something that you really just don't know, right? And then when they comment, they be like, oh yeah, I knew that. Or you just, and you don't know what they're talking about. And instead of coping to the fact that you are unfamiliar with it, right. You turn this into this real life Tim Robinson sketch, right? And you act like you know.
Right.
This stubbornness comes from insecurity.
Right.
And it is not uncommon, but easily identifiable and can be mistaken for arrogance. Keep an eye open for moments when that happens, because we've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
When we act like we knew something when we did not know.
Because we don't want to look stupid.
You don't want to look stupid.
You don't want to look stupid, yeah.
Because there's something about us and ourselves that doesn't want to be diminished in front of others.
Right. We don't want to look stupid. It's like we're not intelligent.
Yeah.
We don't want to make a fool of ourselves. We don't want to be, feel embarrassed. Yeah. So yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
No, I was there. Let's stop. I was there a couple of days ago. When this guy was talking to me, and I promise you, I don't know what he was talking about. But I was like, oh yeah, In my mind, I'm like, I hope he don't ask me about it. Because I had no clue. But instead of just saying, hey, you know something, brother, I'm ignorant in that particular area. I really don't know what you're saying. Perhaps here it is. Perhaps it could be a teaching moment for you. But you'll never get that teaching moment if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable to your ignorance.
And then even sometimes when we're having just like normal conversation, and you know how sometimes you may zone out, or you may not be fully giving that person your undivided attention. Correct. And you're just like but a part of you, like, I don't even know what they're talking about. Like, I miss what they're talking about. And it's like we're just going along with it instead of saying, like, let's just backtrack. I apologize, I wasn't fully paying attention. Can we go over what you was just talking about?
And then a lot of people do that as well because they really just don't care what the other person is saying.
Well, that's true too.
And perhaps that's again, what signs and ways and things that we all have done. Again, this is not about others. This is about us tonight.
Yeah.
This is about us tonight. Have you ever used the term to somebody? It's common sense.
We talked about that a few weeks ago about his common sense,
Absolutely.
and this is like it's a very demeaning statement, and that can almost always like be construed as like gaslighting. So it works to make someone believe that your point of view is like common knowledge when maybe it isn't. Even at a point where you're making it as common, what do you gain from pointing that out to someone?
That's good.
Like, what's the point of it saying it's common sense or it's common knowledge? Like, what's the point of that? Wow. And that's the demeaning part, and that makes the other person feel bad, and then I guess you're feeling good.
And that's arrogance. Mm-hmm. Arrogance is to build yourself up in this exaggerated manner. Mm-hmm. So again, what was the point of pointing that out to someone else?
Yeah, because it's like pretty much telling someone they have, like, you use common sense. It's just like a subtle way to jab at the person's like intellect.
Absolutely.
Intellect. Sorry.
Absolutely.
And there's like there's no need except for your insecurities that you have. Inward insecurities, yeah. So it's just portraying off to someone else.
Yeah, how many times do we do things, right? And we got to go back. How many times do we do things or say things that are really from a place of insecurity? Mm-hmm. And it's crazy how, like, we're talking about the voices of pride, right? Mm-hmm. Like I think this is the third weekend. Right? And every week, that word keeps coming up. Right. Insecurity. Mm-hmm.
Because it all goes back to that. It's like, that's like causing whatever that voice is, whether it's neglect or what we're talking about in arrogance. It all boils down and back to being insecure about something in ourselves.
That's the need to be voiceful and bashful and exaggerant and and overcompensate for a deficit that exists in your life. Wow. Yep. Wow. So here are some signs, right? Here are some signs of being arrogant or being full of arrogance, right? And perhaps you, again, it's about us tonight. Perhaps you can identify this in your own self, and we got to go. Here it is. You ignore other people's opinion.
Right.
You don't give credit to others.
Right.
You talk over others.
Right. Mm-hmm. Your relationships feel superficial. Mm-hmm. You can't accept feedback, and you worry what people think about you. So pretty much you always think your opinion is what matters and what's important. It's hard for you to give credit when credit is due. The talking over others, that's a big one because a lot of us do that. Sure. And you probably don't even realize that you're talking over the person. And I used to do that, Jamel. And I was telling him about, real quick, I know we gotta go, but I was telling him about someone else that I work with that was doing that. And I was like, she's always like talking over the person. And he was like, you do that too. And I was like, I do? And it made me conscious of the fact that I was doing that. So now I'm pretty mindful of it and have practiced to make sure when someone's talking, I wait till they finish speaking and then I'll speak. Because we both can't talk at the same time anyway.
Because oftentimes us over talking others is this feeling that we get that we have something more important to say.
Right, exactly.
And what they are saying isn't relevant at that moment, and what you say is more important what they are saying at the time. So and that comes with great intentionality. You have to be intentional when having conversations with others to say in your mind, I'm not going to interject. I'm going to let them finish with what I'm saying because what they are saying matters to them. Right. And even if it doesn't matter to you, because it matters to them, you should respect them enough. And I also think it becomes a habit. That's the way you communicate. Yeah. And it's not necessarily, I think I'm better than you in that moment. Okay. But it's like, it's a habit. That's what I'm used to. Like you talking, I'm just ready to answer. Gotcha. Yeah.
And it's like, you really have to train your mind to to be mindful. Okay, I have something to say, but I'm gonna hold it until you finish, and then I'm gonna talk. And then also, really quickly, when we can't accept feedback, we can't take negative criticism at all, and that's because we always think that we're right. And that means we don't want to hear from anybody else. We don't want to hear what you think. I don't want to hear what I'm doing wrong, because to me, I'm never wrong. I'm always right.
And that's why you can't take criticism and feedback.
Exactly.
You can't take criticism. It's about us tonight. Right? So, we took a quiz earlier in the conversation. The answer is you.
Right.
You have to answer the quiz.
Right.
The answer is you. Based on what we talked about tonight, do you feel like you are arrogant, living in arrogance, or you have arrogant qualities about yourself? I don't know about you, but I was able to see some arrogant qualities that I need to adjust about myself.
Right. I don't think I'm living in arrogance.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm arrogant, but I do have some arrogant qualities.
Correct.
That needs to be addressed and, worked on.
Yeah. We are progressively becoming. Thursday, 6 a.m. Meet us for morning devotion. Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Sunday Exchange, where we believe because of the life, death, resurrection of Jesus Christ, there can always be an exchange in your life.
Absolutely.
Tuesday, fam, 7 p.m. Meet us for another conversation of progressively becoming. I took your line. I know.
Yes. And well, thank you all for joining. You all have a great night. We love you. Take care.
Everybody want to do it.